Welcome into Turnkey on Queen City News Plus, your go-to show for everything real estate. We talk about the latest market trends, do's and don'ts of the industry, and provide expert advice on navigating this dynamic landscape that we call home. Today, I'm very excited about our two guests because it's a husband and wife duo. And what better way to get everything out of the way than have Tiffany Sears as your real estate agent and Mark Sears as your mortgage loan officer. Welcome, guys.
Well, thank you for having us.
Thank you. It's
I
nice
love
to
it.
be here.
When I first called you, Tiffany,
Mhm.
I mean, I felt like I could have talked to you all day
Oh,
long.
all day. I had such a good time.
Yeah. And then you say, well, that question, the journalist in me always just keeps asking
Mhm.
questions.
Sure.
But the real estate agent in me is like, oh, wait, that's a lending question. You
Yes.
can't answer that. And you said, but my husband could. I said, come
How
again.
about that? How about that?
So welcome to the show. Tiffany, you are what's called a unicorn.
Oh gosh, I am.
Why do you say,
I'll
oh
take
gosh?
that.
Does everyone say that to you?
I hear it a lot, but I am very proud to be a Charlotte native. Born and raised here.
Mm-hmm.
Met my husband here.
That's
Had our
right.
kids here. Work building a business here. So I just very grateful and thankful that I have that opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, there are very few people, it's so transient. There are very few
Sure.
people who
Mm.
grew up here or maybe stay here. I mean,
Right.
a lot of people are moving here.
Oh, a lot.
130, 140 people a day
Right.
are moving here. That's great opportunity
I would love it.
for you. So, how would you describe, Tiffany, how Charlotte has changed
Ah.
over the years? And it's obviously a lot.
I
I
would
mean,
say from just geographic, landscape, visual, it's changed a lot. We have seen just a tremendous amount of growth. New areas are popping up, lots of excitement over places like the River District and
right?
the Iron
Yeah.
District. Like we're seeing all of that. It's happening. But Charlotte still feels like a small town pretending to be a big city. And,
Mhm.
and I'm okay with that. We've got all the stuff, all the things that you could possibly want and need out of a big city, but it still has that small town, cozy vibe to it that I
Right.
think a lot of people are looking for when they're looking for their next home.
I
You
think-
almost sound like the now former Charlotte mayor
Oh,
in the
God.
air, but in the airport when you'd arrive to CLT and it would always be Vi Lyles who would
Yes.
say,
Yeah.
Charlotte, it's a big city with a small town
small
feel.
town feel.
It's like
That's
all I
right.
hear now. But that's what you described. I mean, that's Charlotte.
Yeah.
And we had a bit of a unique experience and perspective on that because we moved away for 10 years
hmm
in 2004
Mhm.
and came back in 2014.
Totally different place.
So we've known two Charlottes
Mm.
essentially, and
Three
and
for
it's
me.
right,
Yeah.
right, and three for you, and it's still evolving in what we think is a very positive.
So where'd you move to, or where'd you move back from?
A very small town in Delaware. We
Okay.
moved to Middletown, Delaware, which was the middle town between Dover and Wilmington.
Okay.
When we moved there were what, 7,700 people?
Somewhere thereabouts.
And when we left, I think it was closer to what, 40,000. So there was a lot of growth there, but there's no place like home.
Right.
I mean, there's just, when we got the opportunity to relocate somewhere, Charlotte was the immediate first choice.
Absolutely.
Have both of you always been in real estate in some way, shape, or form?
No.
That would also
we-
that would be another form of unicorn.
Yeah, true.
It would be no. We've both had careers prior to this, and I think I can speak for both of us, or at least for me. I know that I wish I had gotten
Oh.
into this 25 years ago.
Easily.
Mhm.
I had a corporate career in lending and in B2B sales prior to retiring and taking this on full time a couple of years ago. And it's been a good platform. The corporate career is a good platform for showing me how I want to run and approach this mortgage business.
Mhm.
And Tiffany's had her.
Oh, yeah. My
own
background's in
unique experience.
education.
Okay.
So I have a
You're still doing it in
I am, which
just
is
a different
what
way.
I love. I
Mhm.
mean, I have a bachelor's degree in elementary education, a master's degree in school leadership, but I own a real estate firm. And being able to take my background in content creation, curriculum building, education, and be able to transfer that to helping the consumer that's just the best feeling ever because I get to take what I actually went to school for and translate that into what people need and that support and understanding of how this market works.
When I called you to see if you wanted to come on Turnkey, a lot of times I'll ask whoever I'm on the phone with, is there a topic or something that's happening that you feel like needs to be addressed? You immediately said yes. Let's talk new builds.
Oh, yeah.
And I think it's a great topic because there, we've got the new housing law that just passed that investors are shifting their focus.
Yes.
Those institutional investors are shifting their focus to new builds because they're not going to be able to buy
Correct.
homes for rent. And so we're seeing that, is going to grow, but we're also seeing a lot more new builds here in Charlotte
Yes.
because we have a housing supply issue. But there's a little tiny element of new builds that I think people don't know about. And I'd love to hear you say it and see if you're thinking the same thing I am.
I'm thinking that you're thinking townhomes. The amount
Townhomes.
of townhomes that we are seeing every single day pop up.
Mm-hmm.
Now, is that what you were thinking?
No, but you're right.
Oh.
Two things can be right at the same
They
time.
can. They can.
I would love to talk about townhomes. I would also like to later visit the idea that buyers have in their head of, I'm going to go this on my own.
Oh, yes.
Because there's already a real estate agent when I walk in the front office who's going to walk me through everything. Why would I have another real estate agent?
Why do I need to pay someone else
to do
when
this.
representation is already on
Right.
site?
And I think that's the
But you
the,
don't.
mi- the misunderstanding for most folks is that they don't understand or know that the person that's in there, and it's a lovely individual that's in the
Right.
model home. They're lovely. They all have a real estate license. They know all the laws, regulations, everything, but they work for the builder.
Mhm.
So their main goal is to make sure that the fiduciary responsibility that they have is towards their employer,
Mhm.
and that's the builder.
Mhm.
As a consumer, you need representation.
Why?
Why would you?
Why?
Well, because my fiduciary responsibility lies with you, the client. My job is to make sure that I am looking out for your best interest, that I'm explaining the contract to you appropriately and in a way that you can understand. I'm explaining
It's a lot of paperwork.
It's a lot of
A lot of
paperwork.
paperwork. And it's the single largest purchase
Oh,
that
yes.
most people are going to make.
Mhm.
So you deserve to have representation at the
Absolutely.
table that is there advocating.
For you.
Let's talk about the commission. A lot of people think, okay, well, I can save. I don't have a real estate agent. I can save a little bit of money.
Sure.
That's a common misconception.
Correct.
Because a lot of times, well, all the time, the builder bakes in that whatever they're offering, 2.5%, 3%, 2%, whatever it is,
Sure.
that's baked into the price that they're going to give you for that particular house.
It's already established.
They're not going to rebate that back,
They're not
even
giving
if you
that.
ask.
Exactly. That is seriously one of the things I think people walk in and they're like, oh, well, just give me that 2.5% toward, off my purchase price of my home. And that's not how it works. The builder has already decided how much they're willing to pay a buyer agent. It's already been determined. If anything, they don't have to,
Mm-hmm.
but they've already made that decision. So when you walk in there without an agent, they are not obligated
That's
to do
more money in their
anything. It's
pocket.
more money in their pocket. They're not spending that. So being able to know that you're going to get that representation, someone's going to be able to look out for you, and potentially the builder's going to cover the cost of that commission is a win-win, in my
Sure.
opinion.
Mm-hmm.
And you've got someone that understands the process. Builders are not necessarily willing to negotiate, but a good realtor can get them to do some things, like maybe a move-in package or getting your earnest money reduced or maybe split up if it's a larger amount. So
Mhm.
there are things that we can.
The price of the lot.
Lot premiums are a whole different thing because people don't even understand that there are some builders, especially in the ground up, that you have to pay for the lot and then the house.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that we can absolutely negotiate.
Mm-hmm.
And let's not forget about the mortgage opportunities as well, because builders often have their own in-house lenders. And without representation, I think consumers can believe that they must pursue financing options with the builder's
It
lender,
usually looks more attractive.
it typically does look more attractive.
Go on,
But
Mark.
but we would advise anyone to give yourself options, to
Mhm.
give yourself leverage by looking at more than one
Oh,
source.
absolutely. And with most builders, you need to be pre-approved up front anytime we're going to submit a contract.
Right.
So whether that is with the builder's lender or independently. I personally like my clients to get, I hate to say a generic pre-approval, but one
It
from
travels.
one that's going to
One that
travel from
travels.
builder to builder, because we're not taking Taylor Morrison to D.R. Horton, and D.R. Horton's approval is
Mhm.
not going to Pulte. Those are not happening. So if you want to start with a generic or, one single separate third party approval, then we can go and shop around and see.
Right.
And then we're going to compare apples to apples.
Mm-hmm. Well, and acting like you're not like absolutely in love and dead set on the home might help with the negotiations as well. And moving
Yeah, that does
packages.
help.
Oh,
That
Yeah,
does help.
yeah.
and
But it's hard to separate that emotional pull of a new home to what really needs to be an analytical
Oh,
decision as
yes.
well.
Mm-hmm.
And it also will depend on how many lots they have left, where they are in the quarter. Because if it's the end of the quarter, builders are really trying to get a big push to get those homes off of their books.
Right.
So
Especially at the end of the year.
end of the year,
Particularly,
you're
right.
definitely going to have a better shot if you're planning and strategic about it.
Okay. So let's talk about townhomes.
Okay, there's a bunch of them.
What were you going to say? Okay. So the saturation is where we're going with this.
Well, and partly because you can get 20 townhomes on an acre
Mm-hmm.
Density.
density.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's a real, I don't know if concern is the right word, but a real obstacle that Charlotte's trying to tackle is the
Sure.
density.
Yes. So when you're thinking a builder's mindset on what their ROI, their return on investment is going to be, townhomes will bring them more than
Mhm.
potentially 4 single family homes.
Mhm.
If we're thinking a quarter acre for that particular lot. So why not? If they're going to be able to put more money in their pocket, building townhomes is probably the best way to go.
Mm-hmm.
We just have a lot of them. And that is causing some concern for folks that are listing their townhomes because they're competing against a lot of folks that
new
are looking for
construction.
new construction.
the
I've
same space.
I've run into this with clients of mine. Is I've had to tell them you might need to bring some money to the table. I know you've been paying down your mortgage throughout the
Yes.
years.
And
but
that's a
people
hard
have a lot-
conversation to have.
It
with
is.
someone.
It is. People have a lot to choose from,
Mhm.
and then it's weighing your options and trying to figure out what the next best decision is.
Sure.
Is if it's right to move, if
Right.
you need to rent it out, all of that.
What's the strategy behind it?
Right,
So whenever
right.
I sit down with a client, my first conversation with them is, okay, what's our end goal?
Mm-hmm.
What are we trying to do here? Are we looking to buy a home that we're going to live in for 12, 15, 20 years? Or are we buying a home that's going to be 3, 4 that we're going to turn into an investment property?
Mhm.
What's the strategy going to be?
Right.
Because that helps us figure out how we're going to shop.
I
And
think
then-
that recenters people as well because the average length of time in a home for most folks is 5 to 7 years or
think
somewhere
it's
here.
10 was what I read recently
Was it
about just in
isn't it
terms
10?
of the average of how long people how long they get through their mortgage. essentially. But I think you're right. I think a lot of people think, okay, is this our 5-year plan, 10-year
Right.
plan, 15-year plan?
Right.
It's never like, unless they're at an age where they know they're in their forever home.
Right.
And even that changes.
Oh, right.
does.
Because forever
It
is not
does.
really forever
Yeah,
in a lot of
right.
cases.
Right. And as life events happen,
Mhm.
Then needs change
Mhm.
from a housing perspective as well. You may need to upsize, you may need to downsize, whatever the case may be.
Mhm.
And those things impact the timing.
Employment, are you being relocated?
Right.
You bought this home thinking you're going to be in it forever, but now, like, oh no, your job says you're going to go work somewhere else. So we got to
Mhm.
figure out what to do with your house.
So on the mindset of trying to figure out if you are pursuing a townhome, because there's a lot of great aspects to them. They're affordable. They're a
Absolutely.
great way for someone to literally get their foot in the door. in housing.
Amenities,
Mm-hmm.
stuff,
Mhm.
stuff to do.
Yeah.
So it's a huge draw, and I certainly understand why someone would be compelled to pursue that. But I think from both the lending and mortgage side of things, Tiffany, we just try to create options for
Oh,
people to say,
yes.
okay, so yes, if you're at a entry level
Mhm.
position for purchasing a home, you know, yes, they're a townhome, but Charlotte also has condominiums. Charlotte also has existing single family homes that perhaps we can talk about a renovation loan to make this
Mhm.
standalone single family home what you want and need at this time.
Mhm.
So it's about creating that leverage for customers to make them comfortable by
Oh,
taking
yeah.
that decision process.
And I don't know if this is still going on, but I know at one point at least Charlotte was offering, some cash to help with
Oh,
ADUs, which is
yes.
like a separate
Yes.
The
mother-in-law
grants.
suite,
Mm-hmm.
um, to because they want obviously going back to the density issue, they want people to be able to take
Right.
advantage of the land that they have.
And there's some caveats to that because, qualification number one, you've got
Right.
to be in a community that's going to allow
That will
you to
allow.
do that.
Mhm.
So that those are things that would have to be considered. But I think that when we're thinking, what are we going to do long term? How does that look for you? And
Mhm.
it's individualized. What is right for me may not be right for you or you.
Might
So,
not be right for the HOA.
oh,
If you wanna rent it out
Right.
and they've got a 30%
hmm
cap and,
It's a no
for
go.
rentals and there's
Yeah.
already a waiting list, you might be forced to sell if you're
that's
moving.
always a conversation. And when people are like, I do not want to live in a neighborhood with an HOA, I'm like, well, you do realize that HOA is the homeowners association. So
Mhm.
that's you.
But you
Right.
So show up to the
Get on
meetings,
the
get
board.
on the board,
If you
make
want
those
control, get
decisions.
on the board. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it doesn't necessarily have to be as bad as people think. And there are communities out there that don't have an HOA now that are actually considering it because they want to maintain the property value of their neighborhood. So it can change.
Right. HOA, you have no control over, people keeping their landscaping looking nice. It doesn't need to look like, you know,
Hmm.
that you've got more money than you know what to do with,
Right.
but you take care of what you have, and
Sure.
not everyone has that mindset.
Right.
And you want to live next to a neighbor who likes to take care of their house as well.
Oh,
And
absolutely.
so there are positives to HOAs. There are also negatives that people love to talk about as well.
Absolutely.
You living in Charlotte for so long, uh, I think you realize just the affordability issue that we're trying to currently deal with in the area. So, and this goes beyond Charlotte, right? This isn't just a Charlotte
Right.
problem. This
Nationwide.
is a nationwide problem. The cost of building isn't going down, right? Houses are getting smaller because the builders are trying to work with what they've
Oh, yeah.
got,
Sure.
still offer low, as low prices as they can. Uh, but there are programs, down payment assistance is where I'm going with this, Mark, maybe more appropriate for you because can't ask the real estate agent.
Re-
I have my thoughts, but go.
So down payment assistance, free money.
no such thing as free money, but programs that are of immense benefit to both buyers and to builders and anyone really who is interested in real estate transactions. Tiffany mentioned her educational background. My undergraduate degree is in finance, and my master's is in public policy. So, down payment assistance, I would argue, is a topic that works from a public-private partnership perspective. You don't hear much of a political uproar over down payment assistance, over state or local entity awarding grants or incentives for individuals to purchase a home. So it's very good and it's very good policy. It's positive from that regard. Is it free? Absolutely not. There are trade-offs that have to have a trusted advisor at the table with you discuss so that you can make sure that a consumer is informed decision when they sign on the dotted line.
What would be an example of some of those trade-offs, just to give people
Yeah.
an idea of maybe what they could expect?
So the things that would most immediately jump out is the repayment terms of any type of grant or incentive that's tendered.
Hmm.
And by that I mean, uh, if it's a state or local grant, which again they can be very positive for customers,
Hmm.
but there can be a repayment period of anywhere from 15 to 30 years. 15 to 30 years. And we just said that average person is going to stay in the home anywhere from 5 to 10,
Right.
right? Depending on which data set that we look at. So we want to make sure that when someone is in a home, that they're aware of that repayment period, first of all, right?
Hmm.
That if you refinance the home, that grant may become due and payable
Hmm.
at that point. If you move, if you transfer on job, as Tiffany mentioned, that may become due and payable. There are grants out there that are not associated with government entities that are forgivable at signing, right? Could cover a full 3.5% down payment for an FHA loan, and it's forgivable at signing.
But is there a
Th-
but?
Well, a caveat, or
That's the
however,
journalist talking.
or however,
But
the interest rate for most, not all, most down payment assistance programs are typically going to be higher than they are for
Right.
a consumer who is
Mhm.
not using down payment
so
assistance.
there's a trade-off, and it's all
Right.
about calculating, right? So if you get
Right.
help for the down payment, but your interest rate is higher, then all of a
Right.
sudden your monthly payment is going to be higher. So maybe then you shop for a home that's a little less expensive, and you don't get one with the garage. Instead, you get
That's the
something with a
opposite.
parking spot, and there are trade-offs that you'll have
Right.
to make on your end to make it work. But
Right.
it's all about calculating the math and making it work
Right.
for yourself.
Right.
And
That's exactly
location
right.
can also be a concern.
It can.
Some of those programs are geographic
Right,
specific. So
right.
you want to make sure that when you're looking at any sort of assistance program, that you're
Mhm.
looking at every single point to it.
Right.
And I do want to point out that I think there is a misconception that down payment assistance is only for lower price point homes.
I've seen some in
That's
Dilworth.
change.
I've seen some down payment assistance programs that have homes that qualify in Dilworth. Some
Yeah,
some
over
condos.
700.
Yeah, I mean, so like you just have to do your homework and find
Right.
out what might qualify.
Exactly.
$800,000. I don't know what the current maximums are, but I recall when we looked at it a couple of years ago, we were both kind of shocked
Right.
Mhm.
at how high the number can
Yeah.
be.
I have a listing now in Huntersville that is 770, and it qualifies for down payment assistance.
Right.
I mean, that's great because buying a home isn't cheap, and
Yeah.
you know there are closing costs involved and all of that stuff, and it adds up very quickly.
Every little bit.
And then all of a
helps.
sudden you're like, I can't pay for movers.
It's like, where's the furniture coming
No
from?
furniture. You don't need to furnish every room
Right,
right out
right.
of the gate. I think
Right
that's
away.
another misconception is people think they have to fill their house all of a sudden. And
Instantly.
I mean, it drove my husband nuts, but we didn't have a dining room table for like a year.
Yeah. I mean, I think everyone sort of mentally wants to move into a model home,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
Where it's turnkey. See where that?
Hey, Mark gets extra points on that one.
Where it's turnkey, everything is in place. But
Yeah.
the reality is that it takes some time.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It takes some time.
Okay, real quick. We only have a couple. Well,
Okay.
we're almost out of time. But I do want to get, Mark, your opinion on the current rate environment.
Sure.
And, pull out your crystal ball and let us know where it's headed.
Yeah. So
Please.
interestingly, so the markets closed on Friday, and I think we were on the FHA loan, we were around 6.3%.
Mm-hmm.
Conventional was around 6.8, and VA was around 6.3. So VA and FHA usually run in tandem. Markets open today. It's a little bit stable. We've been running, geopolitical events impact mortgage rates, right? It's no longer just watching the 10-year treasury yield.
Yeah.
It's no longer that. Geopolitical events 100% affected. So we are from news cycle to news cycle looking at rates.
Mm-hmm.
We have been able to get customers closed in the fives. We've got some quotes out right now in the high fours. So it all depends on the customer, the transaction, and
If
how
they want to buy down their rate.
Yeah, that's certainly
assume
available.
that's
We're doing 1-0 buy downs, 2-0 buy downs, or 2-1 buy downs, I should say. So just presenting people with options that matches their budget, they're comfortable.
Okay. Appreciate it. Did I miss anything?
Oh, that's a very good
We
conversation.
could keep.
I
we
know.
could keep
I
Yeah.
want to
going.
keep going.
Yeah.
You know what?
I
That
think I
that
came
just
up with
means
3
you'll
more
have to come
topics.
back.
We'd love
Would
that.
love that.
So
Love
sorry
that.
to deliver that bad news to you, Bob. You'll have to come back and be on our show.
It's a pleasure.
Tiffany and Mark, thank you so much. And thank you to everyone else out there who watched this episode of Turnkey on Queen City News Plus. We'll see you next time.
Queen City News Plus. Just search Queen City News on your smart TV's app store.